What's up, Facebook and Instagram Live? Hopefully you are all having an amazing morning, evening, day, afternoon, wherever it is that you are tuning in from. I would love to know as you're tuning in, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, love to know three things you're grateful for in the world today. Today, we are on day number 54 of our 100-day personal performance and business growth challenge. Today's topic is how do you build faith and courage when things are not working out? Now, this one's really important because when things are working out, it's really easy to have lots of faith and things are going to work out. It's really easy to have lots of courage that you're going to do whatever it takes to succeed. It's the times when things aren't working, when the money isn't there, when you're exhausted, tired, frustrated, hurt, out of energy, exhausted, and overwhelmed. And at that moment, what do you do? And this is the question, what do you do to cultivate strength, to cultivate faith, to cultivate courage, to cultivate resiliency, mental and emotional fortitude, to keep going, to keep moving forward when it feels like all else has failed? And so there's plenty of people in here who've been through situations that have taken you to your knees or worse, that have, knocked the wind out of you, that have just taken you down to the ground and felt like there's nothing left. And what happened? What did you do? What did you do differently? Someone says gratitude. Let's see. And there's people I know on here. I've been in that moment. I remember that moment for me was someone said, what's the most challenging thing you've ever had to overcome, and how did faith or how did courage help you do that? And I thought about it and I said, you know what? Being healthy on day 7. And the guy said, what do you mean? And I said, when a doctor told me I had 6 days left to live, I had vertigo. I was completely exhausted. I was dehydrated. I couldn't eat anything because I was throwing it up or pooping it out. My body was completely messed up. I was lying there in a hospital, hooked up to, IV drip, staying alive, just trying to stay up and healthy. And I remember a doctor told me I had potentially 6 days left to live. And in that moment, there were certain things I started to do, which I wrote about in that book right there. But there's certain things I started to do, some of which are pseudoscience, meaning there is no science to back it up. It's just stuff I was doing to try to keep myself mentally, emotionally, physically strong. And other stuff was actually science-based. And I just started throwing everything together to figure out, I don't care which one of these things work, but something's going to work in that moment. Janice, a good friend of mine, said, I learned to change my state of mind and stopped giving up. I love that. I love that. And let's see, what's something else that helped? It's a great method when I faced the fact that reality of this moment. I went blind and gratitude works. Okay. So all these things happen. And I'll give you a list of some of the things that really helped me. Number one, getting laser focused on a possible future vision. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I'm going to get my brain locked on where I want to go instead of the current struggle, the current circumstance, and instead of the previous struggle or the previous circumstance, I'm going to get my brain locked on where I want to go. So in that case, someone told me I had 6 days left to live. I said, you know what? You know what my focus is on? Day number 7. I want to get to day 7, because if I can get to day 7, I've gone past the limitation that someone told me I currently had. So I said, okay, I'm going to focus on that. Now, I don't want to just survive the day 7. I don't just want to get to day 7 and then die. No. I want to thrive to day 7. And so I said, you know what? I have to come up with, number one, if someone wants to write this in the comment section, number one, I have to come up with a compelling vision for my future. A compelling vision, not just a vision, not just a random thought of what could happen, but a compelling vision of the future, something I'm excited about, something I'm compelled to do, something I feel that's worth living for. And so I came up with a compelling vision. Number two, this one now is science-based, which I had to mentally rehearse that vision as reality. So I had to replay it in my mind again and again and again. I had to see myself living into the future in this compelling vision, and I had to imagine it as it's real. I had to imagine it happening again and again and again. I had to feel myself going through the motions of living longer, of living further, of making a difference in some way, of drawing myself into the future so that I could really experience it. Now, that's science-based. Sports athletes use this all the time to mentally prepare. Special Ops Command uses this to mentally prepare for a mission. Like, these people use this. You want to imagine it is real and feel yourself in it, see yourself in it, move and breathe and talk and experience as if it's really real. And you need to do this consistently and vividly every single day. First thing in the morning, midday, late afternoon, and the evening when I can't sleep at night, just constantly replaying where I'm headed to keep my mind laser focused. The next is, and this one's pseudoscience, but I needed to come up with a phrase that I could flood my mind with to take up all the space so that there was no space for doubt, so there was no space for fear, so there was no space for worry, so there was no space for anything else except for this was going to happen. So this next piece is you got to come up with a phrase, a mantra. Mine was God's love flows through me, filling the room, filling the hearts, and touching the souls of everyone around me daily. And I would just say it again and again and again and again and again and again. And then I would imagine, an energy from heaven, in my case, beaming through my body, exploding out of my heart, and trying to reach everyone around me. And so this concept of repeating, taking up all the space in my mind, so there's no space left, filling up every little pore and ounce and molecule of that space with something that's keeping me moving forward. Now there's science behind that. It doesn't show that people perform better or worse. In my heart, if I have no space to think about what's negative, therefore there's no space for it. It can't exist in my world in that moment. So my personal experience says it worked. Lots of people I've worked and with and helped says it also worked, but you can't go to Harvard and get a research study on that one. Moving forward, what else helped? The other thing that helped was doing something I was good at every day, taking something that I was actually good at. And you got to remember, I was in a hospital bed lying there, hooked up to IVs, not feeling very well. So it wasn't like I had all the strength and energy in the world, but I had to sit there and think, what could I do every day? And for me, I like making people smile. So every day I looked around, I'm like, how could I make one person smile in this place? Half the people don't speak English. Looking around saying, what could I do to help someone in this space smile each day? And by giving something that I felt was a strength of mine, it made me feel better, feel stronger. Other things that helped, and these are just layers. Looking forward, someone said, where was it? It helped me to overcome a miscarriage, job loss, relationship breakup, and cancer. It's beautiful that you were able to get through all those things. And so in every one of these layers, here's the big question and the big thought of today's message here, which is, how do you currently cultivate courage, faith, and strength in your darkest moments? Now, I'll give you a clue. It helps if you cultivate it daily before you need it. Because if you get the muscle strong before you need it, when you do need it, it's a heck of a lot easier to deploy than waiting to the moment that you're down thinking, oh, shoot, I better start getting busy on getting strong here. So the other thought I would throw out there for this message is build the muscle before you need it. When it comes to courage, faith, and internal strength or resiliency. Now, what I would ask is make it a point to write down at least 5 things you can do every day to build your mental, emotional, spiritual strength so that you could start committing to doing those things daily so that hopefully, knock on wood, you never need them. But if and when you do need them in the future, it's going to have a lot of strength and you're going to be ready so that something that might have taken you completely down might only be a little speed bump in your future just because you've really cultivated strength, faith, and courage in all of who you are and all of what you do. But you got to build it daily and you got to put in the work and you got to put in the effort. So hopefully this is useful. Take it, have fun with it, kick some butt, and I'll see you all tomorrow for day number 55, or 100-day personal performance and business growth